The third novel in my Jacques McKeown trilogy, We'll Leave the Galaxy for Good, is finally available from Amazon in paperback and Kindle format. Yeah, sorry it took a while, it was so huge and brilliant we had trouble pushing it through the hole. Crisol, Theatre of Idols, might sound like bear with me on this, a reality TV show for juggalos, sponsored by a brand of inexpensive floor cleaner, but it's actually a new original first-person survival horror that caught my interest. Try to imagine if Bioshock had a child with Resident Evil 8 that was frequently babysat by Lies of P, and who spent a lot of time hanging out with blasphemers during their awkward, defiant teenage years. Of the several games I've tried last week, it was the only one I ended up sticking with because I was drawn to the main character, who is an absolute prize twat. Game recognises game, I suppose. In an alternative mid-20th century Spain, we play as Gabriel, the chosen warrior of the world's mainstream sun-worshipping religion, who is sent by his god to the island of a sea-worshipping cult to murder their god and evangelize with both barrels. And early on, I was engaged by this setting because, irreligious as I am, sun-worship has always made a lot of sense to me. At least we know that the sun exists. It's a great counter to smug atheist questions. Where is your god? He's up there, where I'm pointing, keeping us all alive. Any further questions, fuckface? And we're up against sea-worshippers, and that makes a lot of sense as well. The sea is also a thing that exists, which is very, very big and mysterious, and which provides us nourishment, but if we don't show it enough respect, it fucking kills us with sharks. It's an immediately understandable world and core conflict, and while Gabriel himself is in large part standard gruff prickly anti-hero soldier man, he's also a screamingly devout religious nutter, which is a little bit of extra oomph that makes the character fun to be around, as a game protagonist if not as a party guest. Having said that, Crisol is by a Spanish developer and often gives me that Atomic Heart vibe where the characters and dialogue feel a bit off because certain nuances have gotten lost in translation. For example, there's the main female support NPC, who I think is supposed to be bubbly and facetious, but more comes across like she's on the verge of a nervous breakdown in every dialogue line. Anyway, let's talk core gameplay loops. Yeah, I know you love those. Gabriel must gather 4 artifacts from 4 prominent members of the local community, exploring the city and learning the backstory behind everyone getting killed by a horde of demonic puppets and a big evil unkillable metal lady with a very inconsistent accent. To combat them, Gabriel must adopt the guise of his superhero alter ego, the amazing Captain Exertion Grunt. It made me laugh how much of this game's soundtrack is just Gabriel going like a seal falling down the stairs. Even a 1 foot drop provokes a noise like a fat guy trying to get up from a beanbag chair. The combat has your standard Resident Evil 4 suite of guns, pistol, shotgun, rifle, SMG, and also a very Resident Evil 4 remake-y knife with a parry and degradation system. But before you hurl your monitor through the head of the nearest cat in response to that last point, I ended the game with 16 unused knife restoration items because I was using the knife very infrequently. If any of the tottering wooden puppet monsters get close enough to do anything that might warrant a parry, then you've already fucked up. It's not a question of conserving ammo, because there is no ammo. This is the front-facing core gameplay gimmick. Instead, your guns all run on blood. Your blood, specifically, before you will go running to the menstrual product disposal bin. Each gun has one or more vicious spikes sticking out of where ammo would normally go, and Gabriel has to mash his hand on them to refill the bullets. So you know what that means? Even reloading provokes an exertion grunt sound. The recording sessions for this dude must have sounded like taking a horny chimp to the gym. And in practical terms, it means you sacrifice your health bar to refill your ammo, which philosophically does sound like a fun idea for a horror game, a constant dilemma between doing damage and defending against it, but in practice it means all of the game mechanics revolve around a single resource, and we end up in a binary state system. You've either got lots of the resource, in which case you're fine, or you've got little, in which case you're buggered. And health for reloads brings with it universal ammo, which has never been a good idea. It means you can use whatever gun you want at any given moment, and it'll always have shots as long as you can squeeze out another drop of claret for it. In short, it makes for a much shallower survival experience than if resources were spread around a bit, and rather undercuts the thrill of discovery. Boy, I wonder what's in this crate. Oh, a blood syringe, like the last 7 crates. I really thought this time it'd be basmati rice or something. It's funny though, I should have harsher feelings about a game with such a glaring flaw in its core gameplay, but I don't. In fact, I rather enjoyed our time, mainly on the strength of atmosphere, story, and creative visuals. The wooden puppet monsters are effectively creepy and nicely designed, which is just as well as you fucking see a lot of them. Some more combat variety wouldn't have gone amiss. There's only 2 insultingly easy boss fights right at the end, both of whom telegraph their attacks like they're helping you back into a parking space. At all previous times, when you're about to confront the villain of the current area, they have an alarming tendency to kill themselves right before you reach them, which just goes to show what boring company Gabriel must be. There's the odd annoying forced stealth bit with the giant metal lady and some obnoxious sliding tile puzzles on the critical path that I found to be a bit of a roadblock when I was more in the mindset of shoot anything that moves and isn't a friendly dog, but on the whole, just the general sense of effort put into the world and its environs carried me through to a borderline positive. I did, however, sour a bit more on it at the very end, but I'm saving that for after the spoiler warning, which I believe is coming up now. Yes, here it is. Spoiler, 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 warning, 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 warning. If you don't want ending spoiler, 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 spoilers, then piss off. It all comes down to a last-minute plot twist, and then it turns out Gabriel's not just the chosen warrior of God, he is God, having taken human form out of penance for what he did to the villains long ago. And my first reaction to that reveal was, oh, so what? That doesn't actually change anything, or pay off any previous event. Just means we go from right-hand chosen warrior of God to cutting out the middleman, as it were. Smacks of the David Cage brand twist for the sake of having a twist. If anything, it removes a potentially interesting conflict, because Gabriel's arc throughout the game has been about coming to question the righteousness of his God, and there's a brewing sense that some drama will ensue when he gets home and has a few difficult questions for the big fiery bastard. But now it transpires he is the big fiery bastard, that conversation's going to get a hell of a lot easier. Hey, I think we might be in the wrong. That's funny, I was just thinking the same thing. Well, glad we sorted that out. Thanks for bringing it up, me.